Mastery, The Way of the Heart, Lesson 2, Part 2. The thought of eternal life is in alignment. The thought of perfect fearlessness is in alignment. The thought of peace is in alignment. The realization of innocence is in alignment. The thoughts of joy and of forgiveness are in alignment and reflect the truth that is true always. For although you are given complete free will to create as you choose, the soul begins to learn that what brings it the highest joy, the highest peace, and the highest bliss imaginable is that which flows from the mind of God through the mind of the channel, the soul, and expresses itself in the field of experience. It is for this reason that the Father's will is that you be happy. And your happiness is found in choosing to restore your perfect alignment with only the voice for God. The way of the heart is that pathway that begins with a commitment to healing and awakening and is founded on the premise, the axiom, that we have given unto you. You are perfectly free at all times. Everything that is experienced has been by your choice, and at no time has there been any other cause. It seems simple, and yet, what soul has not known resistance to this idea? If you bake a cake and it turns out well, you will say, I did that. But if you bake a cake and it turns out very bad, you think, it must have been the flour. It must have been the temperature of the oven. Surely there was something that caused this creation to not be what I would truly desire. It takes great courage and great faith to look upon all of your creations, your thoughts, your feelings, your manifestations, with love and with the innocence of a child. For example, to plant a garden and to have all things wither and die, and yet to smile and say, I planted this garden. I and I alone have done this. Well, I will get a little hungry here, so I might as well go to the store. Why is this important? Because a long time ago, the soul began to create the perception that it was something other than it was created to be, and the voice for the ego emerged within the garden of consciousness. As the soul, that deepest aspect of the mind that you have all known, began to identify with a voice that was other than the voice for God. That voice has led you to believe that your creations determine your worthiness. Do you know that feeling? Therefore, if what you create is not up to snuff, it means that you, in the core of your beingness, are some kind of failure. But I say unto you, in reality, failure is not even remotely possible. Why? If you plant a garden and the seed does not turn into a beautiful flower but withers and dies, that experience is a creation and you have done it. And because all events in space and time, everything you experience, are perfectly neutral, there is, in reality, never failure. All right, so let's clarify this. So, thought, eternal life, is in alignment, in mind. And of course, everything is thought in all ways. Thought, perfect fearlessness, is in. Thought of peace, realization of innocence, thoughts of joy and of forgiveness are in. Reflect the truth that is true always, which is what you are. You are given complete free will to create or think as you choose. Soul. From the perspective of the soul, teach or learn the highest joy, highest peace, highest bliss imaginable flow from the mind of God through this channel, the soul, and express yourself by experience. So experience this. This is the Father's will, that you be happy. Happiness is choosing your perfect alignment with voice, with God. There is nothing else, and God will never end itself. So the way of the heart that begins a commitment to healing and awakening is founded, or found, right? Founded. This is the premise, the axiom, which is what you are. A choice where you also choose to rescind your right to change your mind, by the way. So it's founded, no longer sought. That which is intuitively obvious to the casual observer, and is thus simply so, always, all times. You, perfectly free, all times. Everything is your choice. No time, or all times, has cause, ever. You always begin. Time does not have cause, you do. So it, soul, has not resistance. Simply say, I did that. Caused this creation. I truly desire. That's what's going on. It takes great courage and great faith to look upon all of your creations, your thoughts, your feelings, your manifestations, to look with love and with the innocence of child. To have all things wither and die. I planted this garden. I and I alone have done this. So I go. Why? Because the soul began perception that it was something other than it was created or thought. The voice for ego emerged within the garden of consciousness. The soul, you, me, a soul, a voice other than God, right? I believe that my creations are my worthiness. And I know this feeling. So, if you create, think, it means that you, the core of your beingness, are. In reality, failure is not possible. Experience is creation. You have done it. All events. This is what reality truly is. All right. Let's see. The only failure seems to occur within your own consciousness when you believe that it is not acceptable to receive and own and embrace your creation with love and with innocence. Instead, you can choose to look upon it, to experience it, and to recognize your perfect safety in doing so. For it is from there that you can decide whether to continue in that form of creation or whether to think differently and to approach things differently. That is where the catch is. That part of the mind began to teach you a long time ago, what to accept as acceptable creations and what to not accept, what to take responsibility for and what to deny responsibility for. And that conflict creates the illusion of separation. When taken it to its extreme, one discovers your hospital's full of those in deep depression, paranoia, and the feeling within the being, within the human mind, of feeling alienated and alone. Helplessness, hopelessness, despair, anger, and hatred are all symptoms of a fundamental delusion that has occurred within the depth of the mind. It has occurred because there has been a long history of having cultivated the skill of listening to the wrong voice. The wrong voice is the voice of the ego. It has taught you to judge, to pick, to select what you will be responsible for. The more you move into that consciousness, the harder it seems to ever hope for a chance of transcending the sense of separation, conflict, and lack of peace. For how many of you have not known the feeling of resting your head upon the pillow at night and not being able to sleep because it is just not going the way you expected. The reason you cannot sleep is because you are in judgment of your creation. All right, let's look at that. Only failure, self, seems to occur. Failure only seems to occur within your consciousness when you believe it, consciousness, is not acceptable. Receive and own and embrace your creation. Love innocence. Choose to look upon it, experience and recognize your perfect safety in doing this. It is there. Decide to continue that form of creation or think differently or approach differently. That is where the catch is. That, ego self or fear thoughts, the part of the mind, let it teach you. Accept as acceptable to take responsibility for that, illusions, thoughts. One discovers feeling within being, within the mind. Your thoughts are conscious and have thoughts. Then you think you are only your thoughts. All symptoms of delusion has a long history of listening to the wrong voice, which is ego. And you will be responsible for that. Transcending the sense of separation, that's peace. The power of your belief is that strong. The feeling of resting, the way you are, your creation. All right, but it is possible to cultivate just the opposite, in which you learn to look with perfect innocence upon all things that arise in the field of your experience. It is possible to look with innocence and wonder at every feeling from the place of curiosity, as you would look upon a cloud that passes through the sky. Look at it, marvel at it, its shape, its color, and embrace it, knowing that it does not affect the purity of the sky through which it temporarily floats. Each of your creations is exactly like this. It arises in the field of time and space, you experience it, and then it fades away. Every hurt that you have ever known is like a cloud that began to pass into the field of your awareness because you perceived things in a certain way. If that hurt is still lodged within you, it is because you latched onto it. You followed the voice of ego, which caused you to believe that you are identified with that feeling, with that perception. And because you mistakenly thought that was you, you assumed if you let go of it, you might disappear, you might die. The human mind is that field within creation, within consciousness, that has learned to become so identified with perceptions, experiences, and feelings that are not necessarily comfortable, that it believes that if it lets go of them, it will die. From our perspective, as we look upon the energy fields of those of you still identified with this dimension, it looks as though you are gripping, causing energy to condense. Your knuckles are white, trying to hold on to limitation and guilt, to unworthiness and doubt. You seek innocence and peace. You seek abundance, prosperity, and joy, but often when you touch these things, it frightens you. Why? Because the truth of the kingdom requires openness, trust, expansiveness, and spaciousness. It involves allowing, trusting, witnessing, and letting things come and go. It involves learning to cultivate a deep enjoyment of whatever arises, seeing that all things are just modifications of consciousness itself, and then letting them go when it is time to do so. Rest assured, there is no one, not a single soul, who has ever discovered something that was birthed in time that did not also end in time. How much of your suffering comes because you are clinging to a lifeless past and insisting that you carry it with you still? You are doing that because in the past you became identified with the clouds that were passing by and claimed that as your own identity. Therefore, if you release it, it will mean that you must change. You must go on. Creation itself that flows from the mind of God is ongoing forever. You will never cease to be. You will go on forever and forever and forever and forever and forever. You will go on forever exactly as you are now. Or you can allow the mind of God to flow through you, carrying you to an ever greater expansiveness and deepening your awareness of the infinite loveliness of the power of the mind of God. All right, what did that mean? That was a lot of death. Each creation's thoughts arises or vibrates. You experience it, and then it fades away. Like a cloud that began to pass into the field of your awareness because you perceived a certain way. You latched onto it. You followed, identified with perception. You thought that was you. Let go of you. Disappear. Die. You are not your thoughts. Human mind is field or vibration within creation. Consciousness, taught or learned, perceptions and feelings. Let's go. Just let it go. Die, as it were. Our perspective, mind, higher mind, this is our perspective. Look upon the energy fields, this dimension, gripping energy, limitation, guilt, unworthiness, and doubt. This is identification with ego. The idea of seek but do not find, that's the foundation. So you, innocence and peace, abundance, prosperity, joy, touch these things. You, the truth of the kingdom, openness, trust, expansiveness and spaciousness, allowing, trusting, witnessing, simply come and go. You come and go as you please. It is time to do so. There is one. Soul, which cannot die, is something that was. Something that already was. Yes, it was birthed in time, but did not end in time. There is one thing that came through or incarnated in time that does not end in time. It's outside of time, and you carry it with you still. This is your own identity. Release it. You go on, with or without thoughts. Mind of God is forever. You will never cease to be. You will forever. You go on forever exactly as you are now. At least this one that we're talking about. The mind of God. It flows through ever greater expansiveness, deepening into infinite loveliness, power, which that's what this is. This is truly the mind of God. And there's still a lot here. Holy cow, we'll keep going. Mastery arises from innocence. In these lessons, we will create a system or a pathway upon which you can walk to deliberately cultivate the quality of awareness and consciousness necessary to stabilize that awareness so that you can bring it to each and every moment of your experience. Imagine then being able to experience whatever arises without losing the sense of spaciousness, innocence, and ease that you now experience in fleeting moments. For instance, know you the experience when things are going well. You are singing a happy tune, and life seems to be moving ahead. Imagine that same quality of trust, faith, and certainty of purpose, even when the buildings are crumbling around you and the bank account has gone dry. Imagine being able to look at those events with the same sense of innocence and wonder with which you would look into the eyes of your beloved. For such a quality of awareness is perfect mastery. Within it are discovered perfect peace, perfect freedom, perfect joy, and uninterrupted communion with all of creation. And if you would well receive it, that quality of feeling intimately one with all of creation is what you have been seeking as a soul since first the identification with the creation called ego began. For that creation created conflict and separation. Everything you have ever attempted to do since has been an attempt to overcome separation and to gain back what you felt you had lost. It is just that the ways you have sought to do it do not work. The world of conflict, fear, guilt, and unworthiness, and the world of the kingdom lie side by side within your own mind. The eye of the needle that one must pass through is the recultivation of the innocence of a child. It is for this reason that I often taught, become again as a little child to enter the kingdom. So, we, mind, create a pathway upon which you can walk deliberately, if you would choose it. It is awareness in consciousness. Stabilize that awareness. Make it your experience. You are not merely consciousness, you are also something else. Consciousness is available to you. So, experience without losing sense of spaciousness, innocence, and ease. This is you now. Know you that trust, faith, and certainty. Look with innocence and wonder into the eyes of your beloved. This is the face of Christ when you look upon the world from this place. This is what we create. So, mind, which is perfect mastery, it's uninterrupted communion with all. That is creation. Receive it, feeling intimately one with all, what you have been seeking. Identification with creation. Creation created. Overcome separation and gain back what you felt you had lost. Do not work. Don't do any work. This is the meaning of you need do nothing. So just choose, change your mind. Are you your thoughts? Or are you already capital T thought mind? This is innocence, child. It is this I taught. Become again, little child. Enter the kingdom.